Today is Sunday, the 18th of April, and the Universal God just brought something into my spirit, and I want to share it with the international community. I want and I wish that the Universal God, my Universal God, could take this outside the Bahamas and drop it in CARICOM. They are the people that sit with my Prime Minister to govern this Caribbean. And you see, the reason I'm doing this, because I want person to understand there is some of us Bahamian that has some integrity, and we go to the poll for good government. And when we go to the poll the first year, especially, we're looking for something to happen for the Bahamas. And I want the CARICOM people in Jamaica. I know they have integrity. Haiti, Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, all these countries that sits at the table with my Prime Minister and the heads of the Caribbean. I want you all to know what happened the first year of government in this country under this Prime Minister. The only white MP in this country for the last 10, 15 years was a fella called himself Honorable Brent Simonet. And after the 2017 election, CARICOM, this white member of parliament, and what was his portfolio? He had one of the most important portfolio in government. He was in charge of investment, meaning that he would bring investment into this country for Bahamians and for the country to prosper. Brent Simonet was also the Minister of Immigration, and he enacted a law that him and him alone can bring anybody into the Bahamas without the rest of the Bahamian people knowing, and get a work permit to take jobs from Bahamians. And all them members of parliament in Nassau agreed that Brent should have the most prestigious ministry in the Bahamas after the 2017 election. The first thing that Brent Simonet did, we have a company here by the name of Bakers Bay in Guanakee, that the country, the Bahamas government, the F&M government, and the PLP gave over 200 acres, give it to this country, to this company, Bakers Bay, Pastrian International, Bakers Bay. And the first thing that the minister did while he was responsible for investment was to go and sit at the table with Bakers Bay and to secure a $25 million for him and the Prime Minister. And the way they did this is through a company called Bahama Fast Ferry. There is a company by the name of Albury's Ferry that had the contract. And Albury's Ferry, all them F&Ms, went and talked to their F&M government about how Bakers Bay is, to date, still carrying tourists illegal on a ferry that has no license. To date, Bakers Bay are driving down without the proper authority to carry passengers from the Marsh Harbor International Airport to the dock to take them to Guanakee. And the reason that Bakers Bay could allow to do this 2.5 years in after the F&M became the government is because Bakers Bay gave Brent Simonet and the Prime Minister $25 million through Bahama Fast Ferry. And these people are Prime Minister that sits at the table on the Caribbean, the heads of government meeting there, and proclaim that they are the right honorable Prime Minister of the Bahamas, is getting the third largest shares of 25 million. So when a company like Bakers Bay can sit at the table with government people, ministers, and secure a $25 million contract and take the contract from Albury's Ferry, and they still remain the government, and nobody in the country besides Kai Mills is speaking out. That is unacceptable. And I'm sending this video to the international community to let them know that there's some people in the Bahamas that has some integrity, and we are ashamed of this F&M government. The PLP is no different. They too allowed Bakers Bay to sit to the table and give their ministers contracts so that they could turn a blind eye. Well, in this country, it is illegal for any resort to give power, electrical power, to themselves. 15 years later, under the PLP and the F&M, PLP and the F&M again, Bakers Bay is the only resort in the country of the Bahamas that doesn't have any power from the Bahamas Power and Light. They have their own generated system. In this country, that is against the law. That is a crime in this country. To date, Bakers Bay got over 100 homes that are electrified by their own generation plant. They are not even trying to get on the country grid. And then they are charging these people whatever they want for electricity. They don't have the rights to do that under the law of this country. But you see, Bakers Bay could have their own electrical plant. They could have their own illegal ferry service. They have their own taxi service that they could charge any amount, which is illegal under the law. The law of this country sets the amount. But Bakers Bay could do this when they sit at the table with Brent Simonet and give him $25 million to take the ferry license from Albury Ferry. And nobody has hit the streets of the Bahamas like they're doing in Hong Kong, Haiti, and Puerto Rico to demand that the Prime Minister and Brent Simonet to resign right away. So I hope that somebody that sits at the table at CARICOM, whenever a distinguished or undistinguished Prime Minister, Hubert Minnis, sits at the table, somebody would ask him, are you getting proceeds from $25 million of a contract that your minister, Brent Simonet, secured through Bahamas Fast Ferry? That is called collusion. The worst type of government is what we have in the Bahamas today under the F&M government. The ministers are given contract to themselves. That is unacceptable. That is the end of democracy in the Bahamas. When a sitting cabinet minister can sit at the table for a foreign entity that are breaking all the rules, going by all non-Bahamian laws, breaking it all, for 10, 12, 13 years, and could give my Prime Minister $25 million through the minister responsible for investment, Brent Simonet, and can take a contract from a legitimate license holder, somebody that's been paying license to operate a ferry all these years, and send 18 Abaconians home. That is unacceptable. So I hope that this video can meet somebody in CARICOM, because nobody in this country want to ask the Prime Minister to step down, because they too looking to get one of them contract from inside dealing. Whenever a country minister can give themselves contract using the Member of Parliament status, that is the end of democracy. So as the universal God touched my heart today on Sunday, the day after Sabbath, the 18th day of August 2019, I hope that somebody in the Caribbean will say to our government, enough is enough. You need to resign, because it's unacceptable for a sitting member of parliament to go to a company that is so dirty that they are breaking all the rules, and they only secured a contract for themselves. The first year, not the second year, the first year, Brent Simonet secured a contract for him and the Prime Minister for $25 million from Bakers Bay. And our country people, nobody is speaking out. Everybody is still calling him the Right Honorable Prime Minister. I can't do so. I expect more. I ought to have more. And he shall demand more of my members of parliament. I shall and ought to have more responsible government from the Honorable Prime Minister. This is one of those Kai Care video. Ashamed, frustrated over this F&M government, when I'm a taxi man and a company, an American company, could make all the money by picking up people, and all the money is going to America, and they can't figure out why we can't pay $7 billion. The money is made here and is swiftly swept out of the Bahamas, so we can never ever pay our $7 billion debt, because the government is in collusion for themselves with these foreign entity, Kai Cares. That's why I'm spending some quality time to let you know what's going on in my country called the Bahamas on a Sunday on WCAY. I'm only doing it because Kai cares. I have to live here. I have nowhere else to go. This is my country, so I must speak out against the wrong that's happening under this F&M government. Kai cares. Live on WCAY.